Is this Money, 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 Mondays? Money! Yes, it is. You're used to setup for me. So, how about some scenic setup instead? Today, we'll start with a pan of the cherry blossoms in bloom. How about a full minute before we start? Okay. These cherry blossoms bloom every year around this time of year, the beginning of spring. Am I in Japan though? I'm in an area that rivals Japan, which is Vancouver, BC. I'll go for another little while before we start with Money Mondays. This is a beautiful scenic setup before I return to my regularly scheduled vlog program. Okay. Let's try this. Testing out the functionality of the tripod for eventual new content. So, my captive currency audience is my guinea pig audience. I'm tagging the Dear Moon project because I did indeed submit my name in the hat for one of MZ, Billionaire Astronauts, Civilian Astronauts. Do I think I'm gonna make it? Who knows? But in any case, I'm having a lot of fun creating my art as I normally do anyways. So, the only difference is that I'm just tagging the project. When will the currency come into focus? In a second. Now I'm going to move the tripod all the way to our actual vlog location. With my usual tin can of goodies. Again, thanks to my friend for gifting all these currency gifts, because these are mint new rares. We will glove up. Gloving up is going to take me a little bit of time, so I will serenade you with my sweet voice while you're waiting. My definition of art is broad, as you've probably noticed, and it's intentionally broad because I think that offers the greatest breadth and width for creativity. Creativity comes as it wants to, however it wants to, so the more flexible you are, the better the outcome. We are continuing with the set of 50 and 100 mint rare notes. How I've made this Money Mondays exercise more creative is that despite the sets having a legend, which explain which note is from where, I've decided to leverage my adventure travel knowledge. After traveling to 101 UN countries and even more other regions in areas I've some knowledge to leverage on, but the knowledge is still amateur in nature, because the Googles is right here. I go without Googles, I play a game, a creative game with myself to make things fun for me. So continuing on with our different notes here, we are finishing with the last couple of the 50, and we also have an idea of how trashed my dance shoes are. The guessing game's funner when countries have foreign characters. Aside from the English alphabet, but it's okay. We'll start by proving that I know how to read. Despite Halong Bay in Vietnam being a top natural wonder of the world, I found the spelunking inside the caves to be more of an adventure and even more scenic. The thing is that those limestone caves that jut out of the water form the bay, and while wonderful, for some reason being amongst them in a wide frame shot is a lesser experience than being inside them. I think maybe I fancy myself a Batman cave dweller, but something about caves in particular is appealing to me. They appeal to all the senses, despite the low light and visibility. Your eyes adjust and pick up on different characteristics than you would if you had light. What do I mean by that? I mean, your visceral experience is different, and for some reason, that difference is enough for me to remember it. That difference even outweighs the usually dank smell of caves. Although, if I remember, the Halong Bay caves are less dank and more natural smelling. They're also echoey in a calm way. So you hear the echoes, more so if everybody's quiet inside them. You hear the drip, drip, drip of water and moisture. Ooh. Another feature of Southeast Asia, more than the natural environment, is the animals. This being an Asian elephant. The Asian elephant is different than the African elephant in ways that mostly visual in the head. We are nearing the end of this set, and we're going to have more in the next pouch. Doing this. Flip them around by accident. Okay. Definitely doing something weird with this set. Lacked consistency. Speaking of Africa, those African elephants, I trekked by foot in Zambia. Although Zambia has decided to highlight a different animal. Bird. The man on the left seems to be symbolic about breaking free of the chains. If I'm to speculate, I think it's them breaking free of the chains of colonialism. But that's just me speculating. Wonder how high the camera can go while maintaining quality. So again, I'm testing out some camera settings as we go. What am I doing? Okay. We are finished the set of 50, and for fun, I'll read out the certificate of authenticity. Each of the genuine banknotes in this remarkable collection is not just paper money, but a historical document that tells a story about the country of its issue. Some of the banknotes represent a new nation's first issues. Others were printed during times of revolution, military emergency, economic catastrophe, or war. Together, the banknotes in this collection comprise a history book, and that is true. So these are guaranteed genuine. This is to certify that these banknotes have been inspected and are guaranteed authentic by Robin L. Danziger. Thank you to Robin for dedicating their life to the scientific and artistic study of banknotes. If we read the back, banknotes is history. Most of the world's independent nations are less than 70 years old. Africa alone has seen the birth of 51 new countries since the 1950s, and the breakup of the Soviet Union in 1991 gave rise to 15 more. This unique collection features a number of first issues from some of these new countries, many of which feature portraits of national heroes. Some of the banknotes in this collection remain legal tender. Others have been demonetized, made obsolete by the nation that printed them. The main reason banknotes become demonetized is because of radical change. War, revolution, rampant inflation, foreign invasion, economic collapse. Thus, the quality of banknotes varies considerably. Some notes show high denominations, evidence of economic problems like inflation. Others, printed under the duress of war, were made in such low quality that some have likened them to monopoly money. In Iraq, During the first Gulf War in the early 90s, for example, hastily printed emergency issues, marred by dull lithographic printing and a faint indelible ink watermark, as noted by Krause's standard catalog of world paper money, were of such notoriously low quality that citizens refused to accept them as currency. Indeed, you can tell a lot about a country's financial condition from its banknotes. Rich countries typically make larger, fancier banknotes with good quality paper printed on high pressure intaglio presses with steel plates that impart raised portions to the surfaces that can be felt. In times of peace and prosperity, a country typically has the time and resources to design good quality banknotes that are brimming with anti-counterfeiting security features. Countries with fewer resources that need to quickly put out new money frequently resort to issuing smaller notes with simple designs, offset printed on cheap paper, with security features either very limited or else entirely absent. That's some real deal knowledge as opposed to my wonky speculative knowledge. That gives an indication of what these currency sets are all about. And now, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the big deal. The big deal is 100. This is a set of 100 from the same vendor as the 50 set. I'm showing the legend briefly without reading in detail because I want to have fun. I'm just speculating again. I'm just leveraging the knowledge that I have from traveling to 101 UN countries. Despite that, there are still 92 UN countries left. I tend to have difficulty identifying currency from those countries. I even sometimes have difficulty identifying currency from countries I've been to because, like explained in the certificate, countries go through a lot of change. Just because I might have handled current currency, that means nothing for previous issues and changes that have happened across space and time. We've come across Hong Kong's bills before, and they are so small. They are the smallest bills I've ever seen. Especially for the denomination of 1 cent. I'd come closer, but the focus is less. That's how you know that this is a very, very small bill. The interesting situation with some of the Hong Kong bills is that they are actually one-sided. At first, this might cause one to think that this is just some sort of printed play money. But as the certificate of authenticity proves, these are all actually authentic bills. This currency piece in particular I know because I've researched it before. Yes, indeed, it's one-sided. One-sided. speak of my 100th country, it's Egypt. Nefertiti features heavily on this bill. And Nefertiti features heavily in the country of Egypt. You'll hear her story more if you head to Luxor, which I did on a 2-day tear through Egypt. Some ask me why Egypt was only 2 days. That's what I could manage with the brief 3 to 6 month opening of Egypt off of the red band shit list. What happened was, briefly in 2019, the Western countries recategorized Egypt as being high risk, but okay to travel to. You could obtain travel insurance, and that's the standard that I use to decide which countries are safe enough. As I've mentioned before, everybody's risk tolerance is different, so now all countries are categorized on the red band list because we have an outward and inward travel ban in Canada. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. If I've decided to match my risk to the government's assessment, then this is what I get. Could I redefine it on my own? I could, but I've decided against that because it's really confirmation bias. Unless I know better, which is highly doubtful, I'm going to have to stay with the government's assessment. Okay, what happened here? My tin's gone crooked. One bill is hardly enough time for me to really deep dive into Egypt. Maybe I'll do that some other time. Funnily enough, China's tiny paper bills do have a backside. Wonder how the lighting is here. This might be a little bit overcast, but it is what it is. I've already done what I've done. I've started. Woo! Yes. I can read some Chinese. This bill is from 1953. China's been acting amok post-pandemic for some reason, stirring up questions around with all of its neighbors and some foreign lands in dispute, like Hong Kong and Taiwan. They're even probably genociding Uyghurs. But what can I really comment about that? I'm gonna sound a little like Lex Friedman, but I've been thinking about Hitler lately. Him and I actually are thinking about the same thing. Joking aside, the main question is Hitler an exception? The answer is obviously no. Genocide's still happening, even today. So all the people who claim that they would have made different choices in Hitler's Germany are joking to themselves, are lying to themselves, because there's 1 billion people in China who seem to be happy to boycott Western brands that have boycotted Uyghur cotton. Maybe I'm just a tiny noob pleb on the political scene, but I think that what the Western brands did is literally the weakest, lamest move they could do. From what I've noticed, we're all in a bind. Western governments rely on China for trade and economic reasons. So even if they are at odds when it comes to human rights and freedoms, what are we going to do about it? That sounds like the CCCP, whatever it's called. I'm trying to drown my voice out. Before you start with conspiracy theories, just remember, I always have ambient noise in my vlogs. That's part of my charm. I just learned to yell above it. Oop. We're gonna have one guesstimate. If I could take the banknote out, we can start playing the game. We gotta take the banknote out first. Oh. And I gotta take a couple out at the same time. So the next few are obviously from the same country. And I'm a guess that this country is Mongolia. Based on a number of clues and hints from before. I've come across what I thought were Mongolian notes before, and the scripting was very similar. Although, are they? Wait a second. Am I sure about this? Because the lettering also looks like ex-Soviet bloc. What's going on? Did I misspeak? I think I misspoke. I'm gonna change my mind. I think this is definitely ex-Soviet bloc with more Asian-inspired lettering. So dare I further specify? Ha! Okay. I'll give myself a week to think about what this could possibly be, and then we'll continue on after 2 weeks, I think. Alright. Okay. I think we are good with the situation.